Fifth, and I think the most pressing, given the business we're in, is the culture of education in the last 40 years. I think it has been highly destructive for attention. Teachers have not been taught to expect attention or to demand it for a variety of intellectually compelling, progressive reasons that started in the teens with Dewey, and later with Piaget, and later with early Jerome Bruner, where they were saying, get the teacher off to the side. Put the learning in the kids' hands. It then developed its own vocabulary, which was constructionist learning. Make sure the kids are constructing their own path through knowledge. Make sure they're figuring out what they want to do, how they want to do it, how they're going to solve it, how they're going to research it, and slowly pull inspiration from a teacher aside. And Doc and I had really eye-opening discussions with graduate students at Harvard who were all trained in this thinking, you know, in the ed school. They think this way, they talk this way, we all still do. It is in the air, the guide on the side. Get the sage on the stage, away. Demote him or her. Get rid of them. And so we asked all of our graduate students, who are the teachers that made a difference to you? And we made a continuum on the board. You know, this end was the sage on the stage. This end was the exact opposite. It was the kids on their own. And then we read them and made a cluster of data points. And it was hugely represented down here. And I remember a young woman, and Maria, could have been in your class. I think you're in the, but she described an art teacher. She said, the greatest teacher I've ever had, who grabbed me. Because we then had the kids, you know, the students, they were, you know, 30s, you know, come up and say what their data points, why their data points were at this end. She said, you know, the art teacher said, you are going to see the world through my eyes. Now, that kind of talk doesn't go well with democratic, progressive, educational thinking. But that kind of talk is what students know. That doesn't mean I have to see forever through this person's eyes. But this person is going to take charge, inspire, teach me to see things a different way, be highly powerful and meaningful in my learning experience. That kind of thinking has quietly been eroding for 50 years, so we don't expect it of ourselves. We feel uncomfortable as teachers demanding attention from kids, and then you add the cultural piece to it. And no teacher today, regardless of their background, where or how they grew up, is going to be comfortable with the attention styles of everyone in the classroom, because it's all mixed up now in a great way. This is, America, by the way, is the only country, with the exception of France and Germany maybe, and now a little bit some of the northern European countries, that are learning how to do this. Japan isn't learning how to do this. China is not learning how to do this. Singapore may be learning how to do this, but only with different cultures within their islands. You know, not hugely different cultures. So, that is the deficit we're talking about. A huge barrier in this path to getting what we want. Now, what you're finding in the news, certainly in Boston, you know, we have a mayor who's been against charter schools. Dead set against charter schools because he's a union guy, Democrat. Well, that's obvious. It's Boston. By the way, Democrat in Boston does not mean liberal. It means Democrat. But anyway, he's a union guy. But finally, the pounding evidence of charter schools, especially from bigger cities that are having the same problems that Boston is having and succeeding with unusual charter school models, the evidence is smashing. You know, people are changing careers once they read the evidence. They're saying, it's kind of like there's a cure to a disease out there and we're not doing anything with it. And I would like to describe one of these controversial schools to show you an odd redirection about the way we talk about the school. And the one I'll talk about is the KIPP school, which, regardless of your personal opinions or what you've read about the KIPP schools, and 5 other schools like them. And by the way, all of these schools have been lumped, unfortunately, because it's, I would say, an insensitive term, but they've been called schools that are exploiting the new paternalism. And the paternalism, I can live with that word, because it's all I'm saying is, if you have a teacher, let that teacher be maternal or paternal. Let them be strong. Let them insist on things. Let them run a class. So the KIPP schools are an example of this new paternalism. And what across the board they've been described as, other than the new paternalism, is schools insisting on middle class values. And of course, that's going to rile people up. It certainly riles up upper middle class people, because they're saying, well, I'm not sure I want to send my kid to a school that's not like me, that doesn't just love quiche,